your winter weather update. Dr. Greg Postel and I in the lab. And, you know, it is a winter weather update, but dare I say, I'm going to go for it. Spring. We got a little hint of spring. Yeah. It's going to feel like it anyway. It
will. And Maria, you're right. By the middle of next week, big changes are on the way, at least for a couple of days anyway. Coming up for air, right? We need to, after all this cold Arctic air has kind of stepped on our necks a little bit. We have all kinds of 50s and 60s coming our way, and pretty chilly in the north, but it's actually above average, near 40 in the Twin Cities.
And again, that is going to be huge as far as just getting us over the hump, because there are signs that, yes, we see some changes, but a little bit of reality, too, coming this weekend.
Yeah. And let's talk about how we get there, because the jet stream has to go through some gymnastics to do that. So right now, we're stuck in that very cold air. We know that in the Northeast. That's coming from the jet stream at pretty high amplitude, bringing stuff from the Arctic regions really into the Northeast. I mean, it was below zero in eastern North Carolina this morning.
I saw your tweet. Yeah, I had to see it to believe it, really. It's that's something.
It was tough. And then going from today, though, to the middle of next week, we're going to see big-time changes. The wind is going to be coming off the Pacific into the United States, flooding us with more milder and maritime air rather than cold, dry Arctic air.
And I would say 50s and 60s absolutely mild, especially when you're coming out of 20s and 30s for highs.
For sure. But the question is, how long does that last? We know we're going to get a really nice break this week, and it does look like some cold air is going to try to come back for like next weekend or so. And if you look at it, our numbers reflect that. We're going back to the single numbers and teens in the northern tier of the U.S. Not as cold as it's been, but we're not sustaining that midweek warmth, I don't think.
We don't have that locking mechanism that we've had where you just have that pattern that's just not going to move anywhere. So this is a little bit more of a progressive.
That's a good way to put it, progressive pattern. So we're going to be nice this week, temperature-wise on the warm side, then coming back to reality with a little bit more cold air coming in for at least a couple of days. But then, speaking of a lock, it does look like substantial changes are even more lasting ones are coming back toward, I would say, the middle and latter stages of January, such that the maps may end up looking like this.
So it's almost coast to coast. We see, obviously, where the west may be a little bit below average, but that makes sense if they're getting a little stormier.
Right.
And so, yeah, when you talk about more than 2 or 3 days in a row, I'd call that long-lasting.
Right, and this is now heading toward the third week of January, leaning toward the end of the month. It is likely, the models are suggesting this now, and they're not that bad at forecasting these kinds of weekly averaged regimes. Warmer air, you can almost bet on it, is coming back, which is be really nice. But we also want to talk about the tonight and tomorrow story across parts of the South. There may be a little bit of light freezing rain coming in. We'll talk much more about this at the top of the hour.
And those advisories are up, and it's time to pay attention for sure.
Indeed.
All right, Dr. Postel, appreciate it.